try these new jokes. I noticed being here for a couple years now that liberals are actually more racist than conservatives. Yeah, maybe not to black people or Mexicans, but to Asians, they're like 1,000% more racist. Fuck, a million times more. Yeah, I think it's I forgot that part. Anyway, basically, it's because the conservatives kind of understand Asians, right? Like me, I'm Korean, right? So they'll be like, oh, you're Korean. So the Korean War happened in the 50s. You know, it was like a long, bloody civil war. It's still going on. So basically, you're refugees, right? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I am. You know, thank you for understanding, right? But motherfucking liberals have this strange, fucking insane fantasy that we're like crazy, like we came from some crazy rich island or some shit, you know what I mean? And they were part of like the white privilege or something. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, so being called a fucking gook and a chink is fucking privilege, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm really privileged there. And then, let's see. Yeah, conservatives, they don't 100% believe in like all the anti-Asian myths, you know? They kind of like want to see it for themselves, you know what I mean? Like they'll ask questions and stuff. But liberals, without even thinking about it, they know, you know, they know that all the anti-Asian things are true. You know why? Because they're the ones perpetrating those myths, you know, shit? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Yeah, liberals are actually the enemy of freaking Asian Americans. Yeah, even conservative women, you know, they'll look at me, you know, and they'll be like, hey, you know, like, look at this guy, right? He looks single, right? Maybe there's something there. But liberal women be like, no, he's Asian. Think. And then, okay, here's another one. All right, why do Jewish people have so much influence in America? You know, is it because of all the money, right? That's what someone's told me. Well, they have a lot of money. Well, how much money do they have? I mean, Asians have money. Nobody listens to us. The Mormons got money, right? So what is that, right? You know, the last 3 wars we fought on behalf of Israel, right? And right now they're doing all this stuff, using our bombs, you know, committing genocide and shit. They're about to start World War III over there. And we're just like supposed to just like help them and all that. You know, I don't get it. Were the founding fathers Jewish, or does it say that in the Constitution or something? What? So I'm like, what is that? There's something there, right? But what is it, right? Nobody knows. Oh, my beeper's going off. Yeah, you know, more stuff about. Yeah, because you know, there's like a lot of, I noticed that there's this thing going around, right, where it's like, it's okay to be racist towards Asians, right? And like, because people know better than to say certain things about like, you know, other races, but for Asians, perfectly fine, right? And I think I know where this idea comes from. It comes from Hollywood. Yeah, because Hollywood's always been racist towards Asians, you know, especially Asian men. You know, you got like movies like Gran Torino, the Wolverine movie, Total Recall, you know? Like, these movies aren't even that old and shit. Some of them are blockbusters. And they're so anti-Asian and shit. And then even the movie Old Boy, right? They reshot Old Boy just so they can replace the main actor from a Korean guy to a white guy. Yeah, Josh Brolin. Because you can't have an Asian guy looking cool and being badass, you know what I mean? Not in Hollywood. Not unless they're doing kung fu and shit. All right. Then there was a movie on Netflix a couple years ago called Gook, right? Yeah, you would never use a racial slur for any other race, but for Asians, it's perfectly fine, right? And then even the mother of all race Asian movies is Crazy Rich Asians, which isn't that bad, but the title is a racial stereotype. So you wouldn't do that with any other race, would you? But for Asians, perfectly fine, right? Yeah, it's fucking bullshit, you know? See, oh, I forgot the punchline to that. Well, anyway, so you gotta think, like, so someone's out there purposely doing this, right? So who's out there that loves Asian women, hates Asian men, and secretly runs Hollywood? Oh, there goes my pager again. All right. Hey, you know, the car company Volvo, They're gonna start this new sister company geared towards women drivers. Yeah, it's gonna be called Volva. You know when you shoot a target in the very center, it's called a bullseye, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make much sense because when was shooting a bull in the eye ever a thing? Never, right? If anything, they should call it a girl's eye. Yeah, they say dogs are man's best friend. I think a woman's best friend is her purse, the one between her legs. I've been having these gay dreams lately. It's always the same. It's me and this other guy, and we're playing pickleball. So gay. Yeah, buying flowers for a lady is like both like the manliest and at the same time like the gayest thing you can do, right? Yeah, when you're walking out of a flower shop holding like a bouquet of roses or whatever, you don't know whether to feel like Casanova or Liberace. Yeah, I was in the United States Army, you know. So when I was there, right in basic training, thank you. Right in basic training, I took CPR, you know. But then I became, later in the Army, I became a combat lifesaver, right, which is like a junior medic. And so I take CPR again, right? And then I became a lifeguard at the Army, at the lifeguard pool, you know, the pool, division pool. And then I take CPR again, right? And then after the Army, I was an after-school playground supervisor. So during that job, I had to take CPR like 3 times a year. And I was there for like 3-4 years. So I've taken the course like 20 fucking times and shit. I'm like an expert at CPR. Yeah, like if I'm standing next to some homeless dude and he has like a heart attack and shit, well, he's gonna die because I ain't touching that motherfucker. Yeah, there's nose jobs, boob jobs, hand jobs, and blow jobs. Yeah, because that's how you pay for the nose and boob jobs. Okay, that's not good. Right, you know, nunchucks are illegal, right? But guns are legal. But like, what the fuck's that all about? Seems a little backwards, don't you think? You know what it was, because back in the 70s, some lawmaker saw a Bruce Lee movie and was like, oh my god, look at this guy, look what he can do with those nunchucks, right? But I'm like, what the fuck? It was a fucking movie, you know what I mean? That's fucking, like what? Twisted's like, or, yeah, it's the #1 movie right now. What are you gonna make broomsticks illegal? All right, I used to believe in what the news told me, you know, but I don't believe it anymore, right? Because of Milo Yiannopoulos. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in 2017 or whatever, there was all these riots happening at Berkeley, you know, at the university. Yeah, right. And they're like violent riots, and people down here were like, "What's going on?" Right? And they're like, "Oh, it's because Milo Yiannopoulos is going to give a speech, and we don't want him to, right?" And we're like, "Well, who's that?" And they're like, "Oh, he's like this alt-right neo-Nazi, right?" And so when I heard that, you know, I was like, "That motherfucker, you know, fucking neo-Nazi bastard, you know." And so I see this interview with him once on the Vice channel, and so I'm looking at him, and he's all smiling and shit, and I'm just like boiling with anger, you know. I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, look at him smiling, you know, like I just want to reach in the screen, just choke him and shit. And so like I'm looking up at him, looking him up, right, like, who's this motherfucker? And the first thing I see is this picture of his wedding, right? And it's him getting married to this black guy, and he's got a yarmulke on his head, you know, because he's Jewish. So I was like, well, how can he be a neo-Nazi if he's married to a black guy and he's Jewish, right? It turns out he's not a neo-Nazi. He's just like this snarky gay guy who's like hates feminism, you know? Yeah, during that time, that Ghostbusters movie came out, the all-women Ghostbusters, and he was like all on Twitter, like just talking shit about it. That's basically it, you know? But then I was like, well, who told me he was like this neo-Nazi or whatever? And it was the fucking media, you know? It's not just the news. It was the news with NPR and like a bunch of other sources all coming together to like paint this guy as like some monster and shit. Yeah, and I was like, that's fucking bullshit, you know? So nowadays I just take mainstream media with just a grain of salt and shit. Whereas I'll take social media with like a gram of weed. You know, in Spanish, the word X makes an H sound like Mexico, right? And then the J makes an H sound like Jose. And also the G makes an H sound like Jorge. And then the H too, right? That's 4 H's. No wonder why Mexicans are such good farmers. My name's Ivana, I'm out here, thank you.